In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the second row folding seat cables on this Dodge Grand Caravan. These are what allow you to fold your seat right into the floor. If your cable is broken, most likely your seat will not come off of these two latch points here, which means it'll be stuck on the ground or on the floor of the van, and that's going to make it more difficult to work with. However, if you put your hand underneath this lever here and push up, it is pretty difficult to do, so you'll need some force, but that will actually manually unlock this and allow you to push the seat up, which will give us a lot better access to work with. To start, whether you have your seat up or down, we're going to pop this back part of the cushion cover off of here, and this will expose two Phillips head screws. We'll have to remove both of those. All right, this will allow you to pop this cover off. It has two clips that hold it on at this point, so just pry it. There we go. Make sure you don't break them. It's these two gold clips right here. Set that aside. On the outer part, you'll have to lift up this lever and get that Phillips head screw out of there. There we go. Now you should be able to pop this one off. Just like that. Now, looking underneath the seat, you can slide it forward or backwards right here if you need to. You have a push clip that we need to remove. Grab a trim tool, pop this out. This secures the fabric on the corner here. And then, well, this should be attached to these. It's not. Peel this off, just like that. Follow it towards the front here. It's going to be difficult to see this. You'll have to do it mostly by feel. It's kind of hooked onto a metal bracket, so be careful not to get cut on it. I'm going to try and get a pick in here just to pry the plastic off of the retainer part. There we go. Just peel it off the rest of the way. There we go. And now you just want to do the same to the other side. Pop this clip off, and then the fabric, just like that. Okay. Now lift up your fabric with the cushion, if they come off together. And that flap that we undid at the beginning needs to slide through here, but don't pull too hard on it. You don't want to break it. That's what is going to pull the back of the fabric tight up against the seat. So if it rips, it's not going to be secured back there. You have to kind of feed it through slowly. There we go. All right, there's that. Now we have to remove this spring material here. I'm going to grab it with some locking pliers. That way I can make sure I have a good grip on it. I'm going to lock some on over here and another pair over here. Pull it, and there you go. This is going to make it a little bit easier. Now you can remove it off the other side a whole lot easier since there's no more pressure on it. Set this aside. I'm going to set it down on the ground just like this so I can make sure it goes on the same way and not, well, another way, just in case it has a particular direction that it has to stay in. Now with the seat folded up, take the T20 bolt out or screw that holds this plastic cover in place. There we go. Set this aside safely. And with the seat folded back down, oops, there we go. You should be able to remove this cover, and now we have access to all the cables. Now that we have them all exposed, these are the two cables that we are replacing. They come as a kit, and you should replace them as a kit. But if you need to replace this one right here, this short one, well, you still have to get to this point, but you wouldn't touch these. You would just remove and replace that one. Once again, these are the two that we are replacing, which are the most common ones to fail. there are 2 wire ties that we have to cut over here. Now, if your vehicle does not have these, that most likely means that it has not been to the dealership for the TSB that was issued for this, which basically entails the dealer adding a wire tie to these cables. They are known to pop out, so I will actually reinstall a wire tie when the time comes to reinstall these cables, but obviously I have to cut these old ones off to get the cables out. So get this out of here. That's why there's also paint marker on these. And this clip right here is just a push style retainer, so I'm going to pop this off. And now you're going to want to put the seat all the way back. If it's forward at all, this will have a lot of pressure on it. But if you tilt it back all the way and hold it there, this should have some slack. And with that said, you should be able to pop this right out of here. Now you can let go of it just a little bit. And we can remove this from that pivot point, tap it forward. There we go. It just has a hook that it slides on here with. And then this other cable on this end, same thing, we'll pop it up. Be careful with this one if you're not replacing it. All right, and same deal over here. We'll slide it forward. There's this end of the cables. Now we're going to follow this cable over here, pop this one out of its retainer. Same style retainer over here. I'm going to tap it down, and that should allow me to remove this, pull it down, and that gets that out of there. So one last point is at the end of this other cable. This is going to be the style that you have to pinch and then pull through. So press on that tab and then press on this tab while you pull on the cable. There we go. That should free that up. Slide it out from this hook, and now you just tilt it and wiggle it. That should pop out. Now we slide this through, and there's your set of cables. Now, if yours were broken, obviously you may have less things to undo, but there it is. Now, let's take our new cable, feed it through this hole right here. It's important that you do that so that it can be routed properly. And I'm not going to clip it in yet. I'm going to wait. I'm going to slide this hook in here first and make sure it's facing the right way. There, it's just like that. And then the cable itself was latched in to this pivot point. Now I can slide the cable through the hole and lock in the sheathing. There we go. You want to make sure both of these tabs lock in. If not, as soon as you operate this cable and pull on it, it's actually going to pop this out instead of pulling on the cable itself, so it won't work. And now you want to latch it in over here underneath the seat. So it might be a little bit more difficult to see. And since we're here, let's latch this one in as well. There we go. That one's pretty strong. If you don't think it's strong enough, put a wire tie on so it can hold it on, but this one is definitely quite strong for me, so I'm going to leave it like that. Resecure this push style retainer for the 2 cables on the frame of the seat. Make sure that goes down all the way and it's nice and snug on there. And then the cable with the black retainer goes on here. I'm going to worry about the wire ties later. I just want to clip them in for now. These are pretty tight, so sometimes you have to tap them in. Be very careful, because if you force it and you break this attachment point, you're going to need a new cable. To latch this in right here, we're going to have to take either a pry bar or a screwdriver and just pry this forward like that. Be very careful when you do this, but just enough to get this to line up. And there we go. That's latched in. And then we have this other cable that goes right over here. There we go. Connect this one as well. All right. Now I had a wire tie right over here where this white paint marker was. This included all 3 cables, so I'm going to resecure it over here. This is once again part of the technical service bulletin that Dodge put out for these. So you want to make sure that you make them nice and snug on here. The reason for that is so that they don't pop off as they operate. And of course, I'm going to cut off the excess. And I had another wire tie that went through this hole over here and secured this onto this attachment point so that it doesn't accidentally pop up and off. This basically just holds it down nice and tight. Don't over tighten this because you can break this connector or the attachment point. It's just plastic, so you don't want that to happen. And just like the other one, cut this one off nice and flush, and there you have it. Now let's put this cover back on. Line up this hole right here with that one. The screw needs to go through from the bottom up. It was this screw right here. I'm going to start it in before I put the seat up. Now fold your seat up and let's tighten up this screw. It's just threading into plastic, so once you get it snug, don't go any further than that or you'll break the insert where this goes in and you won't be able to tighten that cover. There you go. Put the seat back down. Now let's get this piece reinstalled. Hook it on over here. And now you can either pull it by hand, stretch it, or I'm just going to use the locking pliers that I used to remove it. Make sure they're nice and tight, but not too tight. This is plastic and you can break it if you over tighten these. There we go. That's 1 and 2 and 3. Perfect. It is pretty tight, so you most likely will need some sort of tool to help you guide it on here. Put your cushion and the fabric back in. This all has to slide back there. So this is going to be the trickier part just because you have to shove it in there, but make sure you don't break it. And then it has a corner piece here that has to go over the car seat anchors. When you pull on this, once again, just like when we removed it, make sure you don't pull too hard because if you break it, it won't be tight on the backside. Your fabric and the cushion will be all floppy over here. Once it's lined up, these should poke through just like that. There we go, nice and flat. And now let's go in the front and attach the cushion and the fabric so that it can be nice and tight on here. Pull the corners up and over. And this piece, just like that. Put the push clips in so it can hold this material in place, just like that. And then if you can, you'll notice that on the side here, this plastic piece has a slot in the middle. It has to grab onto the bottom lip of the frame of the seat, just like that. Press it on till it clicks. Do the same on this side. Pull the corner over. And get this to clip on, just like that. Press it up. It should click in place. And over here, resecure the fabric with this push clip, just like that. Now let's secure the front. There's a groove on this plastic retainer here that has to line up with this lip. Make sure that you don't run your finger along it like this. Sometimes it can be pretty sharp here. You kind of have to just hook it over like that and press it on. It's going to be a lot easier to install it than it was to remove it. So that's good. There it is. Now install these panels on the side here. Remember, they have the gold push clips, retainers that lock on. So just try to line it up the best you can. Has to go over the seatbelt here. And okay, let's do the same on the other side. On this side, make sure you run this strap right through this opening. There we go. Then of course this lever needs to fit in here as well. Line everything up, tap it in place. Now we're going to have to pull up on this. Let's put that Phillips head screw in. Let's get this Phillips head screw started in here. That's snug. Perfect. Let's go to the back. Start in the two screws that hold these panels on the back side. Might as well just finish tightening this one up. Nice and snug. They're small. You don't have to tighten them very much. Just enough to hold these panels in place. right, now with those tight, we take this and tuck it right underneath here. This is going to hide those screws. Make sure it sits nice and flat, just like that. And there you have it. Your seat is repaired now.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.